R groups, what's up? Tonight we will answer the question, who is Jesus? Had a great sermon from Pastor Nathan as he unpacked the courtroom scene in Mark chapter 14 as Jesus is standing trial before the Sanhedrin and Pilate. Okay, so they're bringing in all these accusations against him, and it comes down to him answering this question: who are you? The religious leaders just continue to bombard him with these questions. Are you the blessed one? Are you the Son of God? Who are you? Are you God? Because they knew that if they could get him to answer that question, that he would be signing his own death warrant. Because if he says yes, they've got him on two counts. Under Mosaic law, if they don't believe him, then they've got him on blasphemy, claiming to be God if you're not God. And then under Roman law, nobody was allowed to claim that kind of authority except Caesar. So by Jewish law and by Roman law, if he answers that question in the affirmative, then they know that they can put him to death. So that's the question they're trying to get him to answer. Who are you? Who are you? Okay, well, I took some pretty good notes this week, and I wrote down the three assertions that Pastor Nathan made to close out the sermon, and I want to recap those for you to prep us for tonight. All right, number one, he said the religious leaders decided that their judgment of Jesus was more accurate than Jesus' proclamation of who he was. Okay, in other words, they decided not to believe that Jesus was who he said he was, and they thought that their belief or disbelief about Jesus somehow altered the reality of who Jesus was. And sometimes we do that too, right? We think, as long as I don't believe it, it's not true. But here's the reality, and here's the point that Pastor Nathan made. I'll say it this way. You can believe all you want to that the shirt I'm wearing right now is green, but objective reality is going to say it's blue. Okay? Your belief about the color of my shirt doesn't alter the reality of the color of my shirt. Just like your belief in Jesus does not alter the reality of who Jesus is. Whether you believe him to be God or whether you don't believe him to be God, he is in fact God. So your belief does not affect or alter reality. Number two, Pastor Nathan said, the religious leaders were the ones that were putting Jesus to death. Now that's significant because a lot of us run around thinking that because we're religious, because we go to church, because maybe on occasion we'll read our Bible, or maybe because we're not as bad as we could be, or we don't watch rated R movies, or you don't drink, or whatever it is. You think that maybe you're religious enough that you'll be okay, you'll be fine. But what we see right here is that being religious does not mean that you know who Jesus is, and being religious does not mean that you have salvation. It was the very most religious people in this text who are the ones that were putting Jesus to death because they missed who he was. They were so focused on behaving properly that they missed who Jesus was. So being religious cannot be equated with knowing Jesus. And then the third thing that Pastor Nathan said to kind of close down the sermon was the very people that were beating Jesus at the close, verse 50, at the close of the text we studied, the very people who were beating Jesus were quoting scripture to him. They knew the Bible. So just like you don't want to equate being religious with knowing Jesus, you also can't even equate knowing the scriptures with knowing Jesus. You can know the Bible. You can have a bunch of it memorized. You can know doctrine and not know Jesus, not have salvation. So let those three things kind of sink into your brain, wrestle with them a little bit, and keep them in the forefront of your mind as you begin to walk through the questions of the blog tonight. And I know it's going to be a good, solid, productive time. Before I leave you, though, real quickly, I want to remind you that this week after service, we'll have a Backstage Pass event. That will be an opportunity for you to get questions answered about what membership at Revo is, to get questions answered about who we are, why we do what we do, what's our philosophy, why do we do the stuff that we do. That all access, ask the questions you want to ask, and also have an opportunity, if you like, to go ahead and sign up to be a member at Revo Church and figure out what that is all about. So, the reason that I tell you that, I know the majority of you in our groups probably are members. If you're not, then you just got some good information. But if you already are a member, I want you to begin thinking, who are the friends who I've invited who have been coming for a little while, but they are just kind of dating Revo. They haven't committed yet. Who are the people that you need to invite to that event? Be sure that when you invite people to that event that you let them know childcare is provided and lunch is provided. All right, and it is not an obligation to membership just by coming to the event. Like, when you come to the event, that does not mean that you have to sign the papers and seal the deal. It's just a great opportunity for you to get your questions answered and figure out more about who Revo is and why we do what we do. So invite people to that event if you know of anybody, and we'll see you on Sunday.